this is another shooting that's happened where someone who is transgender is involved. Now, in my opinion, it's starting to develop a pattern. And I think they really need to start looking at what's going on.
The media says the motive doesn't matter. It's the gun's fault.
I think it's either like you have to be honest and say what will actually work, which is what nobody wants to hear, which is that there are just simply way too many firearms and they're way too accessible. And even if
they're too powerful?
And they're too powerful. Even handguns, too.
So a suicidal transgender who hates Trump's Christians and Jews shoots up kids at a Catholic school, and the media wants to take away your handgun. So how are we supposed to protect ourselves from trans shooters? The media is bad at pattern recognition. We aren't. Just 2 years ago, another trans 20-something walked into a Christian school in Nashville with a rifle and shot 3 kids and 3 adults. They buried the manifesto and locked down the case. We've seen trans shootings in Colorado and in Maryland. They even shot up an ICE facility in Texas. And it seems like half of Antifa's trans. A couple of they-thems just got popped for firebombing Teslas. The mayor of Minneapolis says you can't say that.
Anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity. We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone. We should be operating from a place of love for our kids.
I don't hate anyone who thinks they're trans. I feel sorry for them. But statistically, the trans population has been prone to violence. That's not villainizing, that's reality. And if you can't recognize reality, you're in danger. We love the American people, especially American children. And if they're troubled and believe they're somehow a girl trapped in a boy's body, we want to get them help. We don't want to give them hormones and operate on them. Society shouldn't be trying to produce more trans kids. We shouldn't be encouraging an emotional disorder or whatever this is. And doctors should stop profiting from it. Great Britain ended child sex change surgeries. They said it's barbaric, and they're right. And politicians should stop elevating the trans issue like it's the civil rights struggle of the 21st century. You see it all over Minneapolis.
Minneapolis will continue to be a safe haven for our trans community.
For being a safe haven for transgender individuals.
We have sued them for gender-affirming care. Yes, we are not going to scapegoat our transgender community.
When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as grown-ups to listen and
Okay, I must stop right there because this is disgusting. First of all, these people aren't even old enough to get a driver's license. They can't drink. They can't sign a mortgage, but you're going to let them make a life-altering choice that will ruin them forever. Not for a moment, forever. And you're talking about when our trans children tell us, when the children tell us who are, we need to believe. Stop it. It's okay to tell somebody no. President Trump, you need to shut this down. You need to shut this down. I know that the funding has been removed from transgender surgery. It needs to be outlawed, period. Outlawed, period. It is not anything. It isn't. They've propped these individuals up, giving them privilege and trying to write it into law, which is disgraceful. To write into law, it's okay to mutilate yourself. Stop it. Shut it down. Shut it all the way down. Make it illegal. Ban it completely. We need a complete ban on any transgender surgeries. And the only thing that they should be able to get is therapy. Therapy to deal with their gender dysphoria. That's it. No hormones, no nothing. We're not doing that because we see where this is leading. And it's not leading to anything positive or good. For Minneapolis, Minnesota to be like, oh yeah, we support trans people and all that. No, stop. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You are killing people. You're the worst. The mayor, the governor, whoever this lady is. It's really crazy. And Black Empower says the adults going with this are groomers, right? Trying to make their lifestyle the norm. It's an agenda. It's a complete agenda. In my opinion, it's a death cult, because once these people start cutting off body parts and all this, they're not going to be able to reproduce. They're getting rid of their reproductive organs. For young women, they get their breast cut off, they get their uterus removed. Yeah. And people are thinking, huh? Yeah. And then they cut off part of their forearm to act as genitalia that rots, by the way. Because you can't make something that you were not naturally born with. You just can't do it. And for young men, it's just the opposite. They castrate themselves. So you're now trying to create a generation of eunuchs. These people do eventually, unfortunately, sometimes kill themselves or die because they may not have access to the medications that they need to keep them alive. There have been individuals that have tried to desist or retransition back to what they were, right? But they still have to take these medications that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So at the end of the day, was this just a money pit? Is that what we've done? We've just created a whole class of people that need continuous care? I mean, what have we done? Yeah. And Sassy Lady said, the Lord isn't pleased at all. Absolutely not.
To believe them.
So when your 9-year-old tells you he's a horse, do you let him sleep out in the barn and eat hay? What are we doing here? Just a few years ago, the psychiatric community classified transgenderism as a mental illness. Then doctors went woke and removed it as a condition, and now millions of young Americans are identifying themselves as trans and getting high fives. When someone has an illness, we should treat it instead of affirm it. We don't celebrate schizophrenia. We don't encourage depression. Teenagers are confused. Sometimes these things are just a phase. And if they're not, all right, then a grown man can wear a dress. If he wants to do that in America, he has that right. We're a pretty darn tolerant society. But the left's weaponizing trans kids and turning them into culture warriors. And they've been turned loose against the church, schools, and Trump. You see it, I see it. The trans clan has a militant wing, and it's out for blood. They're taking lives, defiling churches, and freaking everybody out. And some politicians are doing more to protect shooters like Westman than soft targets like schools. In 2023, private schools in Minnesota begged Governor Walz to fund more school safety. They told him it was an urgent and critical need. Minnesota had an $18 billion budget surplus, but the governor didn't do it. Instead, he turned Minnesota into a trans sanctuary. And his attorney general, Keith Ellison, sued Trump so they can keep castrating little boys. Tim Walz failed. Our leaders keep failing us. They failed us during COVID, on trade, on immigration. They say they care about kids, but they locked them down and oversaw an obesity and chronic disease epidemic. And now there's a growing trans epidemic, and they won't even admit it, just like crime. They created a crisis and then lie about it and blame you for not being compassionate. But their fake compassion is getting people killed.
Because they don't want to be seen as the bad guy, right? They don't want to be seen as the bad guy. They want to be seen as the good guy. It's crazy. Because they will use this, and you're going to see it out there. You're going to see all of the Democrats running to see this is why we need to get rid of guns and this, that, and the other. You're not going to get rid of your gun. You're not going to get rid of your security detail. You're not going to walk around unprotected. Stop that. But you demand it from the general public when somebody that you actually propped up commits a crime. We need to look at the issue of why this person was so depressed, wanted to commit suicide, wanted to harm other people. He said he wanted to kill children, allegedly, in his manifesto. But nobody went and investigated that? Really? You've got people that are thrown in jail for making a post. I'm serious. They have thrown people in jail over it. They have harassed people. Why would you say something like this about this person? But you can't find this dude. And I guarantee you they knew. And I want this investigated by the FBI. You better find out who knew when they knew it, and they did nothing. And these families better be compensated. All of them. Because you've put people in danger for your agenda. That's the disgusting part. And that's what, Jesse was saying. You have an agenda and you're putting people in harm's way for your agenda. What are you doing?